I'm your host, Stephen Vanover, here on the Sports Talk Line Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. We are here right now with Connor Livesay. You can find him on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft. We're going to be talking about the REESE'S Senior Bowl and doing some honest highlights on the highlights. Connor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to kind of look at the week of practices all come together into game format and break down some of the ins and outs of the game after spending the entire weekend Mobile at the Senior Bowl watching practices and talking to a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and that's important to understand. The guy you're listening to now, he was there all week long. He was at the practices. He talked to the guys. The interviews are online. They're on this channel. Let's follow them. But hey, let's not talk anymore, Connor. You're driving this train on the engineer. Shall we start?
Let's get it started. Always got a lot of good return to start the game. You don't see a lot of good returns nowadays in football, so to be able to get the ball up past the 35-yard line for a late addition to this was really good. But, man, this first play was impressive because you got Justin Hervert, who is known for his athleticism as a quarterback. And if you run that back one time, you'll see him be able to hold out that play fake, make the defense think run, get back into his rollout, and then deliver a catchable ball. You'd like to see that ball a little bit more accurate. Thrown closer to the numbers, but you still see the athleticism that Justin Hervert plays the quarterback position with when he's in and out of the pocket, his ability to create plays with his legs. Here's another example of him creating play with his legs. This was likely going to be a sack in real time, but Joshua Uche, Michigan edge rusher guy we're going to talk about here in a little bit, forgot that he was playing a game and not in practice after he could have probably sent Herbert to another dimension, but he decided to play it safe and let him pick up some yards on the ground. But that's what Herbert is. He can use his legs to create yards. He can use his legs to create throws down the field that aren't there initially with his ability to go off script. So there's a lot to like there with Herbert, and he kind of showed that in today's game.
Yeah, I like the way he makes the business decision at the end here.
Yeah, definitely slides, gets down, gets out of the way. But I mean, that last play, it's funny because we watched Joshua Uche, the Michigan edge rusher, come off the edge. You're gonna pick at him for not laying him out there for the sack, but also you kind of gotta like that he knew that he had him, and I mean, again, you want to see him bring him down, but he could have laid him out and kind of was smart about it.
Well, I'm not saying they know each other, but I understand that his agent knows his agent. Okay,
Sure.
All right, here we go.
This was another good play. This was more about the play design more so than the throw. But you see here LaMichael Pirine, the Florida running back, be able to just extend, catch the football away from his body on the screen. But I think the one thing you want to highlight is the offensive lineman out there in space. The two offensive linemen, I should say, the two LSU offensive linemen right there, getting out in space and getting blocks out in space, which are going to open up the running lane for Pirine. If that's Lewis there, I think it's Lewis, number 68. He's going to actually get two blocks on this play on two different players, which was absolutely massive for this play. You see Colin Johnson blocking out on the end there, out wide as well. But watch these two blocks that Lewis gives on the play that kind of frees open the space for Pirine. Blocks two different players. One player blocking two players down the field, an interior offensive lineman, Damian Lewis out of LSU, who had a big week of practices and then showed off his abilities in game on that first drive as well. Ryan with a great ability to finish, make a few guys miss, have the body control to kind of fight for that extra yardage to get in. But really, 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 really nice play there from Damian Lewis and LaMichael Pirine.
Well, whenever you see nice efforts like that, you're immediately talking about making some money in the draft.
Correct. Yeah, and this is Kyle Duggar here, Lenore Ryan's safety, a big-time player, a guy who I think is going to go in the second round of this draft from a Division II school, which you don't see too often. He is a dynamic punt returner, too. Doesn't get a ton of yardage here and probably wasn't the best decision to field this punt, but he does, want to show off that ability in this game format. Evan Weaver from California, linebacker, who doesn't have great athleticism, isn't very good in coverage, but he's a very good special teams player and a guy that can play well sideline to sideline, and he makes a tackle on that play there.
Well, deciding to field and return that, the one thing he showed was he's got a large set of cojones. All right.
That is correct.
All right, moving on here. Here we got it. Here's your man again.
Yeah, that's the play we already We already went over that one.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
But this was that was Joshua Uche
Yeah,
again.
this is his montage right here of all his plays put together. He went
Yeah.
6 for 6, I believe, in the for his first bit of action. That's not bad, is it?
No, not at all. And this is just another example here of him able to create something that's not there with his athleticism. And that's a good pass rush from Carter Coughlin. You saw Alex Taylor struggle, the left tackle in that play before that we were showing from South Carolina State. He measured in at almost 6'9", 310 pounds. But Carter Coughlin with a good pass rush to get Justin Herbert out of the pocket.
And that's doing something. Okay.
Yes. And Antonio Gibson, a guy out of Memphis, who's very interesting. He's a guy who, the running back that just carried the ball in there on that short yardage gain. He's a guy that has very little production at Memphis. He played behind Darrell Henderson and played behind Tony Pollard at Memphis for a few years, so he didn't have a lot of opportunities, and this year he got some and definitely cashed in on them. But he's kind of that gadget player, a guy you want on third downs, a guy who can do a little bit as a change of pace back, but he can run in between the tackles too, and he's a fun player. This sack here, Kenny Willix, Michigan State defensive end, he had a good week of practices as well. He's got some quick twitch off the edge. He needs to develop a counter, and he needs to play a little bit stronger than he is. But you can see there, he just fires past the offensive tackle before he can even get out of his stance. And that's something you see with a lot of these players is they're not used to the snap counts. They're not used to the quarterback counts. So he just is so late firing off the ball, and Willix gets by him and makes an easy sack on this one.
I mean, right here, that's what you're talking about, right? Is the separation between this guy and this guy, right? I mean,
and if you can run it back and slow it down even more, you'll see that the offensive tackle there. I mean, he doesn't even move when the ball is snapped. So it's it's kind of a gimme.
Here. I think I lost it there.
That's all right. Yeah, yeah. Just and it's important to let people know the like I said, it takes a while for these offensive linemen and quarterbacks to get into a rhythm. So that's a really good play from Justin Herbert because you can see him throw the completion to Lipscomb on the RPO.
I mean, just hitting on the numbers, man, and with a strike. There was no up or down on the ball. That was beautiful.
Yeah, just he sees it and he fires it, and that's so important. He's able to drop down his arm angle a little bit too.
I was going to mention he adjusted his arm angle so he squeezed it in that lane just perfectly, didn't he?
And that's something he does. He makes those off-platform throws, and he's got so much juice on the ball that he's able to fit the ball into windows that aren't that big because of how much velocity he can put on the football. And that's what makes him special. It's his athleticism, how strong his arm is. He just needs to put it all together. And if he can, man, you're looking at a guy with a very, very high ceiling in the NFL.
Oh yeah. All right. Now it looks like we're finally back up to where we were. Sorry about that. I'm new to this engineer gig. Our engineers in Texas. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get it all worked out. And here you can see Duggar again as a punt returner, be able to break that tackle, pick up your. I think there's a hold on this play, but it didn't have a huge impact on his gain. But you just see his ability as a returner.
Yeah, there was a hold. They did bring that back, but that doesn't matter because they don't really care about the results of the game or the play. What they're doing, this is the biggest job interview of their lives starting right now, correct?
And you just got to realize that Duggar's a Division II player from Lenore-Rhine that went to this, the highest standard of All-Star games against some of the best seniors in the NFL, and he made an impact, and that's huge for him to be able to go to a game with this much talent from the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and just really, really stand out as a Division II player. So he definitely just bolstered his drop stock tremendously this week.
Yeah, and he did it during the week as well, right? Not just that one day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he was better. I don't think he was bad in the game for any measure, but I think that he was better during the week than he was in the game. And I think that's kind of, what people wanted to see him put a week of practices together and then go out in the game and make some plays. And he definitely did. I'm sure there's some of those we'll get to later.
All right. Well, here's Herbert again.
And another play of him just using his legs to create. And that's what he does, man, is he's able to use his legs, get in and out of the pocket. And that's an incomplete pass there. The one that he threw, the play before this one, that's an incomplete pass that he throws accurately off base. It could have been a little bit more out in front of the receiver.
Yeah, it looked like his footwork got a little messed up. Looked like he got a little hurried with his footwork and didn't get squared up before he let go of that ball.
He's throwing off platform there, but they had another angle that they showed right before they went to break because I think that was the last play of the first quarter, and they show that play and the ball was right on the helmet of the receiver, the Jawan Jennings, the Tennessee receiver, who I'm sure he's not used to playing with a quarterback that has that much velocity on the football, so it kind of got on top of him and it actually bounced off of Austin Mack's chest as well after it went through Jennings' hands. So
well, how about talking about this guy for a minute? I believe his name is Patterson, and he's gonna throw a ball down here. Oh, excuse me, it's not Patterson. It's what?
This is Patterson.
Okay, yeah, and he's gonna throw a ball down into next Christmas, right?
Yeah, and this was a play that the North squad, the North squad ran a lot during practice. This week we saw them in team drills run this backside wheel route after faking the play fake.
We're gonna slow it down for you.
And again, this play's probably more so about the scheme and being able to scheme the back open here than anything. But you gotta like what you see here with the ability of Darius Anderson, the TCU running back, to track the ball down the field. You'd like to see a little bit more breakaway speed from him. He actually gets called up to by the Alabama safety, but
yes, he did.
he actually steps out of bounds here, which we'll show right there. He steps out of bounds. So you'd like to see him with a little bit more juice, being able to run away from those DBs, but a good play design from the North squad to scheme open the running back on the backside wheel route off the play fake. And Shea Patterson didn't have a great day, but this was a good, accurate throw. The receiver was wide open, but a good, accurate throw.
And this guy right here, like you said, he showed a few good things on this play. It was a well-run route. He showed nice hands when he gathered in the ball. He didn't cheat it. He didn't take his eyes off of it. And right here, even though he made the misstep, he's got both hands on the ball, and he's protecting with his lower body and his back. I think this is an excellent job at the goal line. Just needs to be a little bit better. What do you think?
No, definitely. And again, that's a 75-yard gain, so he's running out of steam a little bit there at the end. But again, a good ability to track the football down the field. Good soft hands to bring it in. And again, I think you got to credit Shea Patterson a little bit because some of those wide open throws are the easiest ones to overthrow, and he puts it in the bucket for him.
All right, who do we got here? Flipping back to the other side, we have a QB change, right? Isn't this Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma quarterback. Very polarizing prospect, and I think that that first play that we showed was a good example of it because he's very late with the football there. This play here is very late getting back to that first read. He's looking for something big that's not there. He's got to be able to, especially on 1st and 10, to take what the defense is giving him there for a nice 3, 4, 5, 6 yards on first down. Instead, he's slow progressing through his reads. He's late getting back on Jawan Jennings, a Tennessee receiver, and that forces him out of bounds for an incomplete pass. So,
and now hold on, isn't this also a play that the coach calls to help his QB get in a rhythm? This is an easy freaking completion.
And it looks like the defense is playing cover 3 here. It's hard to tell without the all 22. So they have zone defenders back in each level of the field, and that makes it tough because it looks like he wanted to go to the tight end at the top of the route. That's running the boundary post, the corner route, and he kind of comes back to Jennings late, which forces the incompletion.
All right, we got the next play here, man. Explain to me what's going on right there, and also, what he's looking at right down here. All right, because he's got to be aware of this. All right, but what is he seeing? What's going on? All ears.
It's not much he can do here just because Alton Robinson beats the left tackle right off the snap. So as you can see, the defense is in good coverage here. The only thing he could do is get rid of this ball and put some air under it for the tight end, Bryson Hopkins, in the middle of the field. But that's just a risky throw there with 2 zone defenders sitting right on that route. This is just a great play from Alton Robinson, who didn't have a great week of practice, but he absolutely destroys the left tackle. I think that's Terrence Steele on the left side there. He beats him with an inside swim move, and he's able to get to the quarterback before the quarterback has time to really set his feet and make a throw. Again, it's hard for me to say that he should be throwing this football anywhere at this point just because, the edge rusher's coming to the left from the left side, and by the time he sees the running back out in the flat, sees the tight end running the hitch route, he's already being brought down. So Alton Robinson's a guy who had a lot of high standards coming into the week, and I don't think he had a great week, but he did make a big play there.
And I tell you what you were saying, just to culminate and bring it full circle, that was not a bad decision to eat that football and take the sack.
Yeah, just because there's, by the time the Alton Robinson was on top of him, his receivers were just kind of getting their heads turned, and not much anticipation routes.
There was nowhere to go, man.
Correct. And this next guy that we're getting ready to talk about is a guy who probably made himself the most money today, and that's Bradley Anae out of Utah.
I'll put a little dot right there. I'm just guessing that's the position that you're talking about. Okay. And actually, I'm going to get rid of that, and we're going to change this up. And we're going to go with red because this guy had a day, didn't he? And it was actually him and this guy down here. He also had a good day, but I believe the man that, the man of the hour, so to speak, was the man that you're going to talk about right now.
And the other guy we're going to talk about isn't on the field right now, but we'll talk to him.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My bad.
But, Bradley Anae right here, man, just using his hands to create, a pass rush. And the good thing here is that Jalen Hurts makes a very good play here as well. Anae doesn't get home here. He does put some pressure on the quarterback. But Jalen Hurts on 3rd and 14, he makes a hell of a throw here on the right sideline for a first down. And he could have checked the ball down here to his running back or the shallow cross. Receiver coming across a shallow cross, but he sees the zone defense over here on the right. He makes a very nice throw past the sticks to pick up a first down. A really nice play from Hurts.
Oh, wow. That's on the money right there, isn't it?
And that's to Devin Duvernay, a good route runner from Texas. So he's got a lot to like. And I think I mishighlighted the pass rusher we were talking about. I think that pass rusher was actually Trayvon Hill, Miami's pass rusher.
Wow! I was just sitting here looking at the sheet and was going like, "Oh, wait a minute! I think we may have bumped it." Yeah, you caught it before I did. Way to go! All right, well here we are, and now here's another run.
Benjamin, another guy who was very highly touted coming into the week. It's hard for these running backs to stand out a lot during the week just because of the position and the way they do things. But a nice little run from him. He's a good top running back in this senior class and will likely be one of the top 6 or 7 running backs drafted in this draft class.
And they came right back and they did a play action to him again on the very, just coming right back to it. And then let's talk about this.
And this is Joshua Uche, the Michigan edge rusher, and that's what he does. He is fast. He is twitchy. He runs around guys. That's Alex Taylor. Alex Taylor is almost 6'9", 310 pounds, and he just has no answer for Joshua Uche, who has a two-hand swipe, swipes his hands down, dips under the tackle, and flattens his route to the quarterback and pressures him and makes him, kind of spin out and make an errant throw. And again, between Bradley Anae and Joshua Uche, which Bradley Anae is the guy coming into that screen late, number 58, but number 6, Joshua Uche, and Bradley Anae, number 58. It's hard to argue that those two guys had the best weeks. And here we go again, Bradley Anae coming off the edge, working against Terrence Steele, offensive tackle, and he's just. Again, he was unblockable this game. He was unblockable during the week. He was unblockable on most of the tape for Utah this year, and he came into today, and he was just fantastic. A two-hand swipe there, working off the right edge, and he's just unblockable. When you have that amount of technique in your hands, and you can cross chop inside, you can swim, you can club, you can stab chop. It's just so many different moves that you give these offensive tackles to try to beat, and they couldn't handle him today.
No, and his energy level was really off the charts. They were feeding off each other on the edge. And basically, I think the only good news out of the QBs on the south side today was 3 of them drew cards where they said, hey, they probably aren't going to play in my quarter.
Yeah, no, and they are very, very, very their draft stock is on the rise. Bradley Anae and Joshua Uche, the Michigan number 6, Bradley Anae 58 Utah. Here he is again. Both of them are again. And that is just if you can run that back real quick, I wanted to show in slow motion too, if we can. Watch this pass rush move from Bradley Anae. working off the right side again. You got Joshua Uche winning off the edge with speed, but Bradley Anai using his hands right there with that cross chop and then the arm over swim move. Is just very, very impressive. You don't see that a lot of guys from college athletes. You see them win with power, you see them win with speed, but you rarely see them win with technique like that.
All right, I'd like to point out that was a completed pass. Somehow, some way, that guy, he did a shovel pass, threw it to him. That was not a sack, but it was still minus 6 yards, something like that, whatever, It was still a negative play, but I thought that was tremendous awareness by the QB under that much pressure to make that play.
Did they actually end up I thought they ruled it. I thought they ruled them down live, but they might not have. I thought they might have.
Either way,
the receiver down. But yes, great job trying to avoid the sack.
Yeah, sure. Either way. I mean, in the face of him, all I'm doing is I'm screaming and turning and running the other direction. Okay, I'm not having enough presence of mind to do that.
That's correct, and that's something you want to see out of Hurts a little bit more, just making better decisions with the football, especially inside the pocket, which he tries to do there.
Well, I think the crowd actually started booing at that point, and they were booing because he was not getting protection, not because he wasn't doing well. I mean, he's very popular.
I wasn't sure if they were booing because they called him down, or they were booing because he was getting destroyed, or what the booing was for. But.
Oh, he's so popular down there, man. Yeah, they were not happy about his lack of protection. But, I mean, as I understood, that left tackle didn't come till like middle of the week or something like that, so...
Is that who? I can't really tell who that is off the top of my head. Is that 65, the number?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let me see if I can figure out who we got here. That is Terrence Steele. He was there all week, Texas Tech.
Incorrect information on my part then. Sorry about that.
But he's pretty raw as a prospect, so he had a very rough day.
Well, let me help you out. He's a lot more raw today this afternoon than he was this morning. Okay, because he got abused. Okay, but I don't think he embarrassed himself.
Oh, and he had a good week of practice, so that definitely helped him. He didn't have a good game, but again, he moved over from the left to the right, so. He's still a raw prospect that's kind of got some traits that you would like to develop, but by no means a top 5, 6, 7 tackle.
Well, I think that showed. Okay, well, let's go on here and look at that handwork. Oh my goodness! I mean, just look at that.
That cross chop swim is something you don't see from a lot of.
Oh, I hope I didn't go back too far. I mean, my goodness, a cross chop swim. Okay, here it is. We're going to slow it down to, what do you want, 50% there? Okay.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
All right. And for people that don't know exactly where to look, we're talking right here, okay? And what you're talking about is cross chop. So you're going to get the hands cropped, and then they're going to come over as he swims by him, right?
That outside hand's going to smack down the inside hand of Terrence Steele. So you'll see Bradley and I's right arm's going to smack the arm of Terrence Steele to avoid that strike. That's going to go down, and then he's going to chop over and swim over with his right arm. So, and I have my arms backwards looking at it. So left arm.
All right, we're going to go 25% here. So it's really nice and slow. One. Look at that. Push him on the back.
Arm on the shoulder, right arm over. I mean, that is refined technique, that a lot of college athletes don't have. And to be able to land those strikes is the most important part, because you have these guys trying so many different moves, so many different rushes to impress scouts and impress teams. And to be able to land those strikes with great hand placement is very, very good to see from a guy like Bradley and I.
This guy's turning around to see, oh my God, is he dead? Okay, I don't know.
Both of the tackles are. You can see Austin Taylor beside him as well, looking at him like he's crazy. But
look out blockers, man. Look out blockers. Okay.
Great day from both of those guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt for the guys. Okay, here the ball flipped finally.
And that's a heck of a catch from Denzel Mims. Shea Patterson working the play action. Ball's a little bit behind him, but Denzel Mims showed a good ability to kind of adjust his body to make that catch. And then Shea Patterson comes back and throws a pick to Kendall Vilder, Georgia Southern cornerback. And that's an terrible throw, but impressive interception from Vilder, a guy who had a small school cat who had a good week as well.
He really stretched out for this ball, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and he's able to. That's a receiver that you see. That's a ball that a lot of DBs struggle to make the play on because they're not receivers. But man, he leaves his feet, gets up in the air, catches the ball away from his frame, tracks it in well. Like that's a really nice play for a small school corner who needed some plays like this to kind of pump his stock a little bit.
Yeah, that was a total reaction play. Normally, when DBs try to make high point interceptions, they're going to come down and they're going to get their feet under them, get their head together, and then they're going to jump. He had zero reaction time. He had to fling those arms up, square his hips, and take it.
Yeah, very nice play from Vilder there. And again, he's a smaller school guy from Georgia Southern, so he needs to make play. Even with a good week of practice, those smaller school guys need to come into the game and make a play like that, and he did. So that definitely helped his stock. There he is again.
Gee, who could you be talking about? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this is a nice interception from Malik Harrison. He's going to be an inside linebacker at the next level, which, he's not a very athletic guy. So to be able to go up and kind of high point that football with the tight end like Jared Pinckney all over him, that's an impressive interception for a guy that a lot of people question his athleticism and ability to make plays in coverage like that. So he that was a heck of a play for him, and it looks like he might have dropped it there at the end.
Well, yeah, he did.
maybe he's down at contact if they run that back to review, but again, to be able to get up like that and contest that ball with Jared Pinckney right there, that's a heck of a play from him.
I agree 100%. I mean, he didn't quite high point it, but as you said, the other guy was jamming him down on his shoulders, so there's really no way he could. And he still managed to force himself up. And wow, that's strength, man.
Can we run that back real quick and look at that Bradley and Nye pass rush again?
Well, I believe we're going to get that again, so I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, okay. All right, I want to check that out again so we can break that one down because that's his third QB hit.
There you go.
Far.
There you go. Oh, my goodness.
And inside swim move again, just absolutely destroy. This is a new left tackle that's unfortunately having to try to block Bradley and Nye, but just that inside hand, being able to control the inside hand of the offensive lineman and then being able to get that outside shoulder up and over the tackle for the inside swim move. It's just an impressive hand work and arm work from Bradley and Nye.
Yeah, right there. I mean, just what can you say?
And the finish too, without hitting the quarterback in the head, which would have been a flag. He goes high, but he stays low when he's finishing. He did everything right in this game. It's hard not to like a lot of what he did.
Okay, everybody's looking at a Nye. Okay, and that, why wouldn't you want to? All right, stop looking at a Nye, everybody, and look at this guy. This guy tells the story of how good a Nye is. Okay, watch. Oh shit! Oh, man, that tells you how good he is right there. When you're turning around like that, I mean, oh, my goodness. And you're right, the pull-up, no flag, that's pro right there.
Bad for Jalen Hurts because he had a lot to prove in this game, and he unfortunately didn't get a good opportunity to do so because of the protection his offensive line gave him.
All right. Now, here we go, flipping over again.
And here we got Shea Patterson again working out of the pocket.
Nice throw.
Yeah, that's kind of what you get with him, and he's hit or miss with it because I saw this week where he was able to. And man, this is a guy that we need to start talking more about. That's Antonio Gibson, the Memphis running back. We talked about him a little bit earlier about his ability to make those inside runs. But Antonio Gibson is a fun guy to talk about because of the speed and the athleticism he plays the position for. He can catch He actually played a lot of slot receiver at Memphis, so he's kind of that tweener between a slot receiver or a running back. And I think that's why he's going to fit into a similar role that we saw with Tony Pollard in Dallas this year. And he's got some juice behind him. You can see here once he gets to the second level that ability to stick his foot in the ground and then burst. And he's just a lot of fun. And he's going to be a guy that's not going to get drafted in the first 2 days of the draft, I'd imagine, but he'll probably go in that fourth or fifth round. And, I could see him making a big impact for a team, kind of like these running backs that are playing in the Super Bowl here next week with Damian Williams and, Raheem Mostert of the 49ers. Similar guys there.
Well, that play right there was a 3-4 yard loss, and he turned it into a 1 yard gain.
And you see that with Mostert and Williams all the time, just ability to fight through contact and make a play.
And the quickness. Oh, my goodness. All right, here's your guy.
And this is what you get here with Jalen Hurts is that read option. He's gonna be able to do that for a long
Lamar
time.
Jackson light. Yes, no.
No, not at all. He's not. They're not the same runners by any means. But again, it's just he's. I don't know if you can compare him to anybody because he's not super fast, but he's able to run with that ability that you see. Like he reminds me a little bit of the way Dak Prescott runs, where he's not fast, he's not quick, but he just makes it happen when he needs to. And that's kind of what Hurts did at Alabama and at Oklahoma.
What impresses me was his calmness. I never saw him lose his shit. He never panicked.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how he is. He's very poised. He needs to make better decisions inside the pocket when throwing the football. But Jalen Hurts is the definition of a poised guy, being benched at Alabama, transferring to Oklahoma. He's had a lot of rough goings along his college career, and he always stays positive. He always continues to play at a high level.
He's an impressive guy. He's an impressive guy.
Correct. And he just needs to develop as a pass rusher more. If he can do that, he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
That's nice to see. Well, here you go.
This is a hell of a play from Terrell Burgess, the Utah defensive back.
Wasn't it?
That's Stephen Sullivan. Stephen Sullivan is 6'6" with an absolutely insane wingspan and arm length. Burgess runs the route for him. Gets his head around to make a play on the ball, and that was an impressive play. And this play, the play this one here, that's not Bradley. Is that Bradley Anae again with the pressure?
Oh, who else?
Yep.
Now, I don't think he panicked, but here he definitely made a bad decision.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's gotten hit a bunch on that drive. So at that point, he's sensing pressure and trying to get out and throw the ball. You can kind of see him in there.
Trying to score, man. Trying to score. Well, here we go. Yeah. We got to change up now. Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and the defensive tackle there, 97, he was a late addition this week too, and he made a couple of plays in this game. I don't have his name right in front of me here, but he had a few plays in this game as well. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where Shea Patterson kind of gets outside the pocket and makes those throws on the run. The one earlier, he overthrew it. The one
he blew the one earlier, and now this one he dropped right in the guy's hip.
Courtney Davis had a really good game, the Texas A&M wide receiver, a guy who didn't have a great week of practices. He got open consistently, but had some issues catching the football. Courtney Davis had a really good game coming back, catching every ball that was thrown his way, had a lot of yards in this game as well. So he helped his stock a little bit after up and down week in practices.
Well, looking at the throws going to him, I understand why you said he came back to catch the balls, okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
And this is just a poor play from Shea Patterson.
Another poor play.
Yeah, Josh Jones does a really good job of riding the Jonathan Grenard up the arc there. Two back-to-back poor plays from Shea Patterson, but the first one that he circles back around and almost takes the sack, barely gets it off.
Maiden almost got his hands on that, didn't he? I mean, he closed on that ball quite well, I thought.
Maiden probably should have intercepted the second one, but the first one was rough as well because he spins out of a sack, but his fault for getting into that sack because the tackle rode the defensive end up the arc, but he spins out and into the pressure and then makes it tough for him.
All right, well, that's all we have time for more. That's just the first half. For those listening, you want to catch more of this, we're going to be breaking down individual players, individual segments of the Senior Bowl. We're going to be doing it by player, by team, by all that great stuff. Connor Livesay, it's always a pleasure having you here. You can find him on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, and Connor, thanks again for being out there all week at the Senior Bowl doing all those interviews.
No, it was a blast. The weather wasn't great, but we stuck it out and were able to get out there, talk to a lot of players, watch a lot of these players, and really help put our evaluations together to start grading some of these players.
All right, and for everyone listening, please do that thing. You know what I'm talking about. You got to hit that subscribe. You got to hit that notify. You got to hit that retweet. You got to do all those things on all the different social media platforms. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure and check back. We're going to have more with Connor Livesay. We're going to have Spinksy from Down Under. This is Sports Talk Line. We talk sports 24/7, 365. Until next time, listen like you play with intensity.